Welcome to Barrel Brothers, and in this episode we're doing some more EFI stuff, and we have a diff to go in that locks up and stuff like that. Fun. Okie dokie, fuel injection stuff. I was talking to Scotty over at Haltech, and what he wanted to put in the car was a gauge, you know, for so that they can, you know, AFRs or whatever. I don't know what he wants to put in there, something in there, but that's what he wants to put in the car. And I was kind of thinking that the interior of the car has a real sort of original look to it. You know, to put some blingy sort of bright LED something or other in there kind of isn't going to suit. How can we do this? I think the coupes, but definitely the GX5 Sunnies came out with a center console with a clock in it. If we get hold of one of those consoles, which are really hard to find, just put a chrome bezel around the hole and put a screen from in behind, and then have as one of the options you could go through as the original clock. You know, have just the clock ticking away there like it would normally be. I might be barking up the wrong tree. It might be bloody impossible to do if anybody's done it, but you know, to keep that old look to it, it's something I'd just like to do. So I found one. It arrived. This one I haven't actually, not like the fuel tank. All right, so don't worry. I'm not going to short shift you on that one, but yeah, let's open her up. Good on you, buddy. Right. So yeah, the plan was to put a screen in behind here and go ahead from there. See, it's a little bit dodgy around here. Somebody's done a bit of a fix-up on it, I'd say. It's ABS plastic, so that can be repaired. But the chrome around the edge of there looks really good. That looks pretty good, but you can see where it's come away. But the clock looks really good. Hooked her up to yonder battery pack, and all is not super duper. It doesn't work. The actual condition of the clock is really good, and apparently, after talking to some local experts, this is quite a rare piece of kit. This is a GX center console. You can tell by apparently the different color in the center here. People are telling me that I should be putting this in a glass cabinet rather than painting it and fitting the car. So we won't paint it, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to fit it to the car. But the first thing I'm going to do is pull this clock out, find out why it's not working. To get a sale on this one, as I said, they're expensive, but somebody's spent quite a bit of time and effort. You can see the rust in the bottom there. So somebody's done a crappy paint job on this just to hide it, and they've cut one of these out, which makes it look a bit better, but the actual face of the clock is quite good. But now we're down to little stuff. It's a bit harder to get to. Yeah, so it's been cut. That's all right. It's clearish. What I'm wondering is if that little bit of movement, because I can feel the clockwork actually working inside now, maybe it made it work. Let's crank it up to a bit of power and see what happens. Oh! Look at this, it's trying. There she goes, look at that, look at that. I think you've still got to get it clean. Obviously it's a bit cruddy inside, but there she goes. I got the back open, had a look inside, and it's just perfect. Like brand new in there. So I've given it a very, very light oil with CRC. Plan from here is I'm going to try very carefully to give the face a clean. There's some rusty stuff. I'm not going to be able to get screws that size, I can tell you now. But this, somebody's given it a bodgy paint job. So I thought what I might do is give that a quick blast, and then we'll dry it out. Put some satin powder coat on. I think that'll be good for that. These guys here I haven't even started on yet. I've got they're kind of rusted in, the bulbs, but I think we can get that working too. Okay, so I got the back off my little clock here. I was going to try taking the front off, but they're just a little tight. So I've carefully taken the back off, and that looks like brand new. It's just super clean and nice. I'm thinking I'll just put it back together. I'll very carefully put a little bit of oil on there, maybe some CRC or something. This little brass thing over here, if you can see, that is bent. So I've got to figure out some way of straightening the end of it, and I've got to very carefully clean that clock face. I think maybe with a little of the good old isopropyl alcohol cleaner from Worth. Good product. Also nice with a bit of orange juice. Don't drink it with orange juice. It's much better with Coke. But I know clock faces, you have to be very careful with them. All of a sudden you've got no numbers and colours and everything on it. See the way it's offset to the left and down, so it's high up this side. So because you're sort of sitting up here looking at it down there, and it's set back a little bit. Yeah, isn't that cool? Think of everything, these guys, don't they? Look at that underneath the paint. It's all, they've just painted over the top to make it look pretty. You can see the pitting in it. It's a wonder the clock still works really nicely, but the inside of it, you saw it, it's pretty good. So let's get all this crap off and we'll put some new stuff on. So we've got them all blasted. As you can see, there's quite a bit of pitting in there, but you know, it's obviously been rusty for quite a while. This one here, yeah, look at this. That had a slightly greenish tinge to it, and we're not going to be able to do that. I got the little lenses out, pushed through the hole and then melted, so we got the soldering iron out and sort of very carefully unstitched them so we could blast them, because that would have buggered those. Plan now is to dry them out in the oven, and then we'll powder coat it. This one white and that one satin black. They bought out hot rodded versions in Japan. They were called the GX and the GX5. GX5 was done right near the very end of everything. And the parts for them are quite sought after these days. I slung a bet on a complete dash, scored it. This is the famed double bump dash. That's the glove box lid. You see that's got to come off. I think we'll take that off and powder coat it. All right, double bump dash. Get my thumb on everything. So because it's got, see, the double bump and the 3 gauges like in a pod like that. It's black instead of brown, which is a little bit of a drama, but it's sort of fixable. Now the instruments, the thing that this had that mine doesn't is this guy. All right, that's the tacho. It didn't start out looking like that. It started out looking like this. I took these around to my instrument guy around the corner, and you'll see that video where I went and picked them up, and he said that they are all actually working, which is good, including the tacho and everything. Now what he's done too is he's changed the board in there, so this will actually now work, because of that wire there, work with the Haltech. And this stuff doesn't need to work with the Haltech. Now see, it's got the pointy lenses on it. Pretty darn cool. From the back, they look, for all intents and purposes, like a standard sort of Sunny one. So, but this has got 95,000 Ks on it, and my Sunny has only 61, I think. Okay, so there's the standard one that I have. This one is quite a bit more colourful. So we could take all of that out and put it in behind here, but that face looks really good. So it's got like the yellow, this one, oh, this one goes up to 180, and that one only goes to 160. Might have to put this one in. See, it goes red at 150. Like this thing's ever going to do 150. Oh, if we found a nice big hill, it might. Gonna have to get rid of my nice Omori tacho too, which is a really cool piece. And we've got our console too with the clock in it. This is also a GX5 one, which has to be, we've got to put that in. Maybe we'll have to pull this apart and pull all the guts out of it and clean everything up. Here we go. I've decided what we're going to have to do is pull this down and at least give the cup and the black faceplate the same treatment as we've done with the tacho. It looks really good over there. So a bunch of stuff has arrived from Haltech. We've got an Elite 1500. We need one of these to run the fly-by-wire throttles. Yeah, so we've got the wideband, and we've got decided to go with a PDM just to make things a little bit easier. Some nice coils. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 of them suckers. Some sensors. We've got the Bosch fluid pressure and temp sensor. We've got 2 of those. I don't know why we've got 2 of those. The air temp sensor, which is, I know where I'm going to put that. That's going to go up in the back, just near the air filters. Some looms too. Bit of a looming problem. Okay. So I thought, like, the easiest way to put all this stuff in the actual vehicle was probably to pull the dash out. Now this is all done. There's still a little bit more I have to do with that. This is all riveted on. I don't know whether to bite the bullet and try and take it all apart and blast it and, you know, do what we've done with our tacho here. So I thought I'd start with the glove box lid. You know, we've got to blast everything and re-powder coat it all, or re-black it, so it's all looking good. Now this has 4 screws, then up here is these little twisty rivet things. 3 of them came out and 1 just twisted off. We did get the plate off, so that tomorrow is, I'm going to hit that with the blaster along with the little hinge gizmo. Black them up and into the powder coater it'll go, and away we go. So been doing a fair bit of work setting up to get all the Haltech stuff in for a start, but in the process of doing that we pulled a lot of stuff out, resulting in that and this and that and this. Should swap straight over, shouldn't it? Well, actually no, because like the GX and the models that made the GX, like the fastback, even the 4-doors, wagons, all that stuff, basically stopped production in 1972. This is a 1985, so it's not like the President where they just kept making the same car. Look at this. Look how nice that is compared to. So I'm going to see if perhaps I can just swap that into here. This is my Amori tacho, so I might pull these guys out and then we'll pull this cluster out and do a presto swap so. But I'm pretty sure this dash pad, the double bump one, should screw straight onto this superstructure, my nice straight one, instead of that bent rusty one down there. This nice straight, like, nice one here. So we'll see what we can swap over, but my tack's definitely going in, and everything. I'm hoping that the electrics just plug straight in. We need a light wire to go down to the clock too, and the new console. That's this guy here, because that's just cool. With a bit of work, this is where we've got to, and we're looking pretty good. This is the one that I've just taken out of the car, which, why, you know, the front's a bit how you're going, but like, that looks brand new. This and this are basically exactly the same. Swap out that speedo into here and just do it like that. And as for the dash structure itself, we'll do a bit of a mix and match, and we'll come up with something that works perfectly. We had a leaky windscreen back earlier on in the piece, and you can see there's some corrosion on. I need to get the right light so you can see there's a bit of corrosion on the face of the old one as well. You can see on the backs, like, this is obviously quite a bit newer and hasn't seen, I think this has been out in the weather for quite some time, but we'll clean it all up. The only difference I can see so far, this one has this wire attached to the face, whereas the old one doesn't. Both made by the same guys, Kanto Seiki, made in Japan. 60 kilometers an hour equals 637 RPM. 60 kilometers an hour equals 637 RPM. It'll work exactly the same as the original. I've just got to get it clean, which is one of those tedious little jobs that you have to do while you've got it apart, because once it's together, you're not going to pull it out again to do it. Sort of reminds me of that scene in Toy Story 2, is it? Where the old guy like cleans Woody's eye with one of these. Yeah. The one thing our new gauge cluster compared to the old one, we're putting in the old style dash, these two mount bizzos here. So what I've done is I've made a little bracket up. This original one, actually I'll just whiz it off so you can see that. The original one didn't screw up all the way up the front here. It screwed straight onto the back of the panel through these two screws here. Now it would have been nice to make up a little bracket and just have them screwed through from the other side, but that would mean drilling through that plastic, like the pointy gauge covers, and if I cracked that I'd probably neck myself, so because they're hard to find. So I've just gone with this little one that bends up over the top and holds everything down that way. So I'm just about to dunk this and blast it, and we'll powder coat it, probably white to match that one, or silver or something, I don't know. Put some powder coat on it anyway, and that'll be done. And then we've got to make another bracket up to mount these guys in the car itself. Now what we found is a nice hole here through the dash. We can run, here's our battery here, we'll just run a power cable through there. We go around inside the car, that comes through there. So if we can mount our bits and pieces in here somewhere, I'm thinking of coming off here. There's some nice solid sort of bracketry up here, so maybe we can make a bracket and mount the two of them to sort of back to back, power them both up straight through there. That should be fine, I think. See how we go. There you go. There they all are in there. Probably we need a bit of paint on the front here, but yeah, I don't know. We don't, you know, by the same token, I don't want it looking too good because the rest of the car doesn't look that good. So I might just put it in like that, you know, if I get sort of ticked off with it later, I might have another go at it. But that's it for today. I'm out of here. We couldn't get a bolt into these corners here, so what we've done is we've done a stud, and I still have to get these off and flatten them out. You see there's a little bit of a gap there, they're not flat yet. Get them up onto the mill and machine them flat, but I made up this little, between the two of us, I got most of it made, and then Shannon came and actually made it fit. He does it for a living. We're putting a bolt in the centre. This hasn't got a gasket underneath at the moment, but we'll get this all flat. And then this tucks in under there. There's two studs to hold everything in place, and then this one hauls down. I actually had to cut out, got it on the mill and machined it out, because this is slight, it's about 1.1 millimeters taller than the alloy. So I machined out a piece in underneath, so this comes down and actually clamps down on those two edges. These ones here, these are some little stainless steel stands that I made to keep this all in place, rubber joiner there, and then clamps around the outside of that clamp the end of the throttle body to the front of this. So we've still got to take these all off, clean them all up, and so that they flow nice. They're a little bit jagged on the inside, but yeah. So we'll get that sorted, and yeah, so what do you think? From here, there you go, how's that? I can hear the dorts from here. There's only one real problem, and it's this. It's on the bench. I'm going to take all this off now, put plates over the bottom and fill them up on the inside with Kero and just see if they leak down the outside here. And if they don't, good to go, mate. We've made a fair bit of headway here. Check this out. So, car builders, exhaust heat shield. That's just put on using, they've got these really good little gadgets here. I'll get one out. Notice most places have nice clean benches and like, I'm into reality. This is reality TV. So car builders have got these little gizmos that are just so handy. It gives you, they go on like with a hose clamp around. This heat shield here is all, this what these little bolts here, that's these things in underneath. And they're stainless, so Shannon was saying, I've just got them held on by, let's just lift that up. See, just held on with a hose clamp at the moment. You can see in under there. How good are they? So they give you an air gap in between the heat shield and your exhaust. I was having a little trouble with these guys. When they were welded up, they curved slightly, and I was trying to figure out how to get them flat. In the meantime, Shannon was passing through, and he said, look, give them to me. Have you got any plate? And I said, yeah, I've got a bit there. And he's made this lovely little jig. He's like bolted these all down flat, made this lovely little jig, so I can now clamp them down in this here machining gizmo and run across and just get them dead flat. Handy knowing somebody that can use a metal glue gun. The silly thing is, I have this and that here. I just don't know how to use them. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just get a bit of time to... Who's got time? Got time to scratch myself. And I'm itchy. Last night I got in here, got stuck in and machined these guys flat. See, I made the little holder that Shannon made up adjustable so I could get everything nice and flat. They're all done. So basically we're up to, let's get everything onto the car. 10, 10, 10, 10. Pretty damn sweet. What if I got rid of that fuel filtery gizmo there and just ran them up and down on the tower there? I mean, we could run them up there, I suppose. So what we might have to do is split them into two. Thought required here. We're up to about here. I've got to sort out fuel lines and fuel filters and whatnot. We've got our PDM in place. We've got our coil packs hidden down the bottom there, so we'll be able to run those. We've got to do leads for those. My only sort of hassle at the moment is, well, that's going to come out, and I'm going to put an oil catch can in there, but this guy here is being a little bit annoying. It's got another piece that comes out of the top there, so we've got to figure that out. Still heaps to do. I can't get parts, and having a little bit of a hassle with that. And you know, I've never done this before, so I don't really know what I need to do until I come up to, oh, I need to do this and I need this, so I don't know what I need before I actually need it. So I know I need some fuel line, but I've got another fuel pump for the fuel tank, which is yonder. I'm missing the submersible hose that goes in between, so I can't put it all in until I've got that submersible hose, because I've got to put the pump in the tank before I put the tank in the car. I've had that around the corner, and we've got a nice little wire here hidden under there somewhere, so that will actually work with the Haltech now. Subsequently, it's just a bit kind of messy. That I think it can do better. The only thing I really have to watch out for is behind the dash we've got the window demisters that come up here and here, and we've got to look out for our wiper arms. But apart from that, really, in the scope of modern cars, there's not many wires in this thing. Still scares the crap out of me though, because I'm not an electricity guy, I'm a nuts and bolts guy. Maybe I should put some sound deadening on here while I've got that all open. There's another job. What I need to do is write one of those lists on the windscreen here that all the professionals do, and then slowly mark them off. We've got something new. Actually, we've got a couple of things new. I've got this too. New ashtray, Toyo tyres. Like, we can go the big stretch on it too. How cool is that? Tyres green because, and there's glasses, oh, paper clips. Glass is super heavy. Actually, it came in the original box, and the sticky tape had gone through, and Elliot nearly didn't even make it upstairs. Elliot opened this one too. But as he picked it up, the sellotape gave way, sticky tape gave way, but he caught it on the way down. So it nearly didn't survive its little journey. God knows how old it is. God knows why that tyre's green. Anyway, I thought that it would make a good pen holder, and it does. What do we have here? Something for the Sunny truck, actually. first clue, well, the first clue is it's heavy and it's about this size, and it comes with a thing that says Cusco LSD written on it. So what it actually is a Cusco RS limited slip diff for the Sunny truck. So we've got a Cusco MZ in the van, which is pretty aggressive, and I keep saying that we're trying to civilise the Sunny, but you know, give it some sporting prowess, and that's where this guy comes in. It's a 1.5 way, as you can see by the shape of these cans here. So, ooh, oily. I sort of asked around the traps what the best bet was, and I basically got, put an R31 diff in it. Well, I'm not going SR20, and we're not going with a CA80, and we're not going a big turbo. We've got an A series in it. So it doesn't need a big, heavy R31 diff in it. It just doesn't need it. And it doesn't, a lot of people said, I'll put the A86 LSD in it, gives you wider ratios. Well, two reasons I didn't do that. One, this is an H165. The utes have an H165, the sedans and wagons and the coupes have a 145, H145. But the utes have it, because they're a load carrier, they have a bigger diff, an H165, which I think is plenty for the Sunny truck. The ratios on these are a 4.1 to 1, which, you know, like, a lot of people don't realise that, like, an A series is not built for like going down the freeway at $2,000. It's for going down the freeway at 4. So, and it's quite happy doing that all day. And from what I'm talking to Stuart Wilkins at Wilkins Motorsport, and a few other people actually, notably the 1200 Club Wiki, Datsun 1200 Club Wiki, which is one of the most awesome information sources. If you own a 1200, the amount of information there is unbelievable. Please join the club, get onto these guys, help them out, because the amount of information on there, seriously, you want to do something to a 1200, somebody's already done it. There's instructions of how to do it. Every possible thing that you could think of for that you might want to do to, or just get for standard parts, or what part numbers are, or, it's all on there. Go and have a look. Anyway, talking to Stewie and having a look at the site, like a standard 812 will rev to 8,500 all day. They're quite happy to do it. That's what they do. It's actually worth getting onto YouTube and having a look at the TS Cup over in Japan, where they run A12 engines that rev to, I don't know, 10, 11 grand. It's like there's 40 cars all with A12s. It sounds like a bunch of angry bumblebees, but like they beat these things to hell, and they're just tuned to within an inch of their life for power, because you've only got so much power. But yes, anyway, back on the subject, diffs. A lot of people said put the A86 one in. As I said, two reasons for that. I don't need the extra ratios. I've got a 5-speed in the Sunny truck. That's out of a 310. Had the choice of the close ratio box, where first is where first is now, and fifth is where fourth is now, 1-to-1. I chose the overdrive box. Could also have the dogleg box, was first on the dogleg. I've had one of those and I kept starting off in second because, anyway. So it doesn't need all this other stuff. The other reason that I didn't want to put the A86 in is, talking to Stuart, the axle splines are slightly different. So there's a wear over time, and this is a long termer. It took me a long time to get this car, so I'm not going to sell it in a hurry. And I've got so much more I want to do with it. Anyway, the diff. So what we have to do now is I have to pull a pumpkin out and get covered in deliciously smelling diff oil, and pull it all apart, put this guy in, then I'll take it round to my gearbox guys and they can do their little paint thing and make sure that everything's wearing where it's supposed to. As you might have seen in a previous video, I did a little bit on throttle, it's okay, and off throttle, it's okay, trailing throttle, it's okay, but when you're just sort of going along at a constant speed, it's neither accelerating or decelerating, it's got a noise, and that's the teeth aren't quite, there's a bit of gap there. So, because on acceleration the teeth are up against one side, on deceleration, but when you're just rattling along it rattles around like this. So what we do, this is what I've been waiting for this guy to come so I can take it around and get it all sorted, and we mesh those up properly so there's no gaps. So and then we'll put some oil in and put it back in and take it for a drive, and it should be fun. Usually changes the handling characteristics of a car quite a bit, but the car doesn't understeer a lot now, but it will spin the inside wheel on I don't know if there's a lot of oil around on the roads at the moment, off the lights a lot of the time in the wet. It hasn't got a heap of power, and I'd like to put it through 2 wheels instead of one. Yeah, so should be fun around roundabouts at least. Might need a forklift knob for the steering wheel. Anyway, I digress. Okay, next job, pull the diff out. Okay, sensors out. So basically we just have to remove those bearings and flatten these guys out. We've got my own little gizmo here to undo those. Undo all these guys. The ring gear goes onto that. Bearings go on either end and it goes back into there. Then we take it round to my mate James and he susses it out, make sure it's all running in the right place, and he does his little paint thing over. But all the bearings feel really good. So I said this is a fairly, like in the scheme of things, it's a fairly low K car. It's only got like 65,000 Ks on it now. So yeah, I don't foresee any dramas, and the bearings feel really good. So always buy the best quality you can. Okay, so I got the diff out. I got it all pulled to pieces. I got the gear off. This has been apart before because I didn't leave those dings in it. So yeah, and put them on the Cusco LSD center. And then I realised I didn't have a puller small enough to take these bearings off. So I'm just going to have to take that around the corner and get the experts to do it. So, okie dokie, back onto the Sunny truck today, and specifically this, which we've had sorted out. It's got a nice limited slip center in it. So basically all I need to do is cut out some cornflakes packet to make a gasket, and then we'll nail it back on and fill it up with sawdust, and it should be good to go. Okay, we're not going to use sawdust because it's not whining. All right, so we've got the diff here. I heard it around the corner. As you can see, they've done the paint sort of job on it where you see how it's all lining up. So it's been shimmed up, and you can see here too, is it there? As you can see the shape of that little V in there, that it's a 1.5 way, not a one way and not a two way. Two ways are a little bit of a pain in the bum. This is a Cusco RS, not an MZ. We've got an MZ in the van, and it's all well and good, but it's more for a motorsport application, which is fine in the van. That's quite good for that sort of thing. It's very good for getting us off beached. When we're beached it going up a driveway or whatever, but it is quite clunky and what have you around the around roundabouts and whatnot, or if you're sort of backing back and forth, into car parks and what, so it's sort of clunk bash, and it's taking out the bushes in the trailing arm again, but that doesn't matter at this stage. Alrighty, the diff's in. I haven't bled the brakes yet. If you want a quickie way to check whether, oh yeah mate, she's got a limited slip diff, quick way to check it is, if you jack up the back of the car and you turn the wheel, you'll find the other one goes the same way. Some of you may note also that I'm wearing thongs. That's because it's Sunday, and as everybody knows, you don't drop anything on your feet on a Sunday. It's impossible. So it's quite safe to actually not wear boots on a Sunday. However, I did step on some swarf which needed to be removed with a pair of pliers out of my heel. Shit happens. Here we are with this guy. Fuel tank next. I was going to do the fuel tank, but CBF. You should know what that stands for by now. It's Sunday. I'm going to go and have a bugger lemon squashes. I'm going to have a beer. I actually have some nice Japanese beer, Asahi Super Dries. that I may well partake of. So, see you next time.